We had always dreamt of traveling to Russia. The books we had read and the stories we had heard in our childhood were the first sparks that fueled this desire. And now here we are sitting in the Delhi airport and animatedly exchanging notes on Russia. In the aircraft, we are eagerly looking out of the tiny windows to watch the first glimpse of this hallowed land. There, through the wisps of the cottony clouds, all of us capture the first sights of Russia in our cameras and mobiles. This is the Dondo airport, one among the 4 airports of Moscow. Our Russian guide Elena is ready and waiting for us outside the airport. We are moving in the coach that would take us to Moscow city, which is roughly 30 kilometers from the airport. As we drive, we go past sheer long strips of greenery on either side of the road. We see the exquisitely manicured lawns throughout the drive, reaffirming the bountiful greenery of this place that we have read and heard of time and again. As we drive, you can observe the magnificent buildings built in a similar pattern, archaic and regal in style. These buildings house offices and residences of the employees and workers of this place. We are now walking down the Space Museum, set in the midst of a massive extent of beautifully maintained green space, neatly laid gardens with a profusion of flowers in a riot of color. This museum is a glorious tribute to Yuri Gagarin, the Russian cosmonaut who first set foot in space. This monument, dedicated to the conquerors of space, was erected in Moscow in May 1964 in celebration of the achievement of the Soviet citizens in space exploration. At the far end, you can see the rocket-shaped monument, 107 meters tall, made of titanium, glistening in the western sun. The museum dedicated to the cosmonauts is housed in the base of this monument. Watch how all of us are happily strolling down the gardens, some of us eager to take pictures against this historic backdrop, and some just quietly assimilating the honor bestowed by a nation onto its highly acclaimed astronauts. We have reached the VDNK territory established in 17th February 1935 for an all-union agricultural exhibition. This is a huge, sprawling ground dotted with magnificent buildings, where each building is representative of a specific union of erstwhile USSR, like Armenia, Belarus, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and so on. The buildings exhibit the achievements of national economy. The VDNK is a very large general purpose trade show and amusement park in Moscow. All of us watch with bated breath in speechless awe as we walk towards the Moscow Kremlin. Our guide stands ready with an ever-identifiable umbrella, significantly red in color. I pinch myself to believe this is actually happening. Me stepping into the grounds of Moscow's historic fortress, the center of Russian government, home to many an epoch-making decision, housing significant monuments and landmarks, the renowned St. Vasily's Cathedral, the Grand Kremlin Palace, the State Historic Museum, the earliest superstore, a landmark by itself, the gum department store, and of course the mausoleum of Vladimir Lenin. There has been a slight drizzle. The rain-drenched beauty of the lovely gardens and the clean grounds is a visual treat. Towards the end of the ground, we can see the Tsar bell, a 20 feet tall bronze bell, the world's largest bell, which was cast in 1735. And beyond that, we can see the glistening dome of the Arc Engels Cathedral. The tomb of the unknown soldier is situated near the main entrance of the Alexander's Garden. An eternal flame burns here since 1967. This is in memory of the millions of Russian soldiers who died during the Second World War. The flame was brought from Leningrad. Since the 1990s, the sentinels who till then stood on guard before Lenin's mausoleum were moved to guard the tomb of the unknown soldier. And here, as we step out of the Moscow Kremlin, a big salute to this historic place. The entire eastern length of the Red Square houses a renowned symbol of the Soviet era, the magnificent gum department store. This is the earliest superstore and was named the State Universal Store, which began functioning in the 1890s. Gum is the acronym of its Russian name. Today, it is the most visited shopping destination, housing all the renowned international brand names in all consumer durables. We are now standing at a distance from the mausoleum of Vladimir Lenin. Vladimir Lenin, the leader of the Bolshevik Revolution, died on January 21, 1924. While the government had planned on burying him, there was a huge outcry from the Russian people. They wanted the body of the leader to be preserved in a manner for several generations to come, view, and pay their respects. Think Russia, and one first thinks of the golden dome of the historic St. Basil's Cathedral with its beautiful cupolas seen on the southeast far end of the Red Square. The St. Basil's Cathedral was built by Ivan the Terrible in the year 1554 as the Cathedral of Vasily the Blessed. This was in honor of a poor prophet who predicted the 1547 fire at Moscow. The original building, the Trinity Cathedral, had 8 churches placed around the 9th central church of intercession. The cathedral is shaped like the flame of a bonfire in an unparalleled style of Russian architecture. We are now heading for an exhilarating cruise down the Moskva River to once again take in all the splendid sights and landmarks of Moscow. Walking down the pier, we get onto the boat and head for the deck to get the best and unhindered views of Moscow city. The Moskva River is a 503-kilometer long river that during its course flows into the Oka River, which itself is a tributary of the Volga, and then flows into the Caspian Sea. There are 49 bridges across this river within the city limits, and here we cross one among those 49 bridges. This river is also the source of the drinking water for the entire Moscow city. Within the Moscow city, the river is about 120 to 200 meters wide, and it gets narrowest as it flows under the Kremlin walls. Wow, this is the ultimate treat. Getting to watch the grand Kremlin palace all over again. The unforgettable red walls of the Kremlin. There, the St. Basil's Cathedral with its flame-like domes. This afternoon, as we leave Moscow to travel to St. Petersburg, we take back with us a host of very, very memorable moments of our absolutely unforgettable stay in this historic city.